George Lucas's original vision for Star Wars is well known to have been heavily inspired by several classic science fiction properties, including Dune, and it's not hard to see the similarities. For instance, both Star Wars and Dune feature desert planets controlled by vast galactic empires. While it's central to the story of Dune, both universes have a valuable substance called spice. In an early draft of A New Hope, the Jedi were referred to as Jedi Bindu, beings that wielded the Force and that were also referred to as the most feared warriors in the universe. This, of course, is reminiscent of Dune's Bene Gesserit, who use their Prana Bindu training to perform similar, seemingly superhuman feats. Most recently, however, with the release of the Ahsoka series on Disney+, viewers have noticed a few major similarities to concepts found in Frank Herbert's Dune, as well as other famous fictional properties. In this video, I'd like to explore the parallels between a few recent additions to the Star Wars universe and some of the more iconic elements from Dune, examining whether these similarities arise from genuine inspiration or lean towards a more derivative style of storytelling. In Episode 6 of Ahsoka, viewers are taken to an entirely new galaxy, where Thrawn is working with a trio of mystical Night Sisters who are assisting him in his efforts to travel back and seize control of his home galaxy. Numerous viewers, including myself, couldn't help but notice that the aesthetic design, powers, motivations, and overall narrative role of these Night Sisters mirrored many elements of Frank Herbert's infamous Bene Gesserit from his series of Dune novels. Both stories present an order of women who are derogatorily referred to as witches, who assist the sinister head of the Empire. In Dune, the Bene Gesserit have members who are in service to many of the great houses of the Imperium, including the Emperor Shaddam Carino himself. Reverend Mother Mohiam remains at the Emperor's side, where she uses her abilities of analysis to sense truth and deception. The Dathomiri witches similarly use their mystical abilities to help Grand Admiral Thrawn and also display a proficiency in their powers of analysis, able to detect Sabine's limited Jedi training just by looking at her. Moreover, the Night Sisters' title of Great Mother evokes not just Herbert's label of Reverend Mother for the Bene Gesserit, but also the esteemed title within Dune's sisterhood of Mother Superior. One of the most pronounced parallels between the Night Sisters in Ahsoka and the Bene Gesserit is reflected in the Night Sisters' dialogue surrounding the thread of fate and the thread of destiny as the compelling reason for their support of Thrawn. Dune deeply embeds the concepts of destiny and fate in its intricate lore prominently through the powers of prescient sight. Figures like Paul Atreides are renowned for their frequent encounters with visions, offering windows into potential futures. Simultaneously, Bene Gesserit members such as the Reverend Mother Gaius Helen Mohiam also possess a degree of prescience, which can be further amplified by an oracular tool known as the Dune Tarot. Similarly, the Dathomiri witches seem capable of accessing and interpreting visions of both the present and the future, as they can sense Ahsoka's voyage to their galaxy and warn Thrawn of an approaching Jedi. This capability mirrors the powers of Dune's male Bene Gesserit, the Kwisatz Haderach, who could also sense current events unfolding across space-time. Additionally, both the Bene Gesserit and the Night Sisters can be seen as sharing parallel motivations, as they both actively work to monitor and secure a thread of continuity in human affairs in order to control a preferred path for the future. This reliance on visions in the story of Ahsoka highlights another point of similarity to Frank Herbert's saga. In Dune, prescient visions aren't just passive experiences, they guide actions, shape political strategies, and often become self-fulfilling prophecies. Just as the Night Sisters are moved by the threads of fate and destiny, the Bene Gesserit and central characters of Dune are guided by similar principles as they see through the tangled webs of prescience. The deep-seated belief in and respect for these visions and prophecies reveals a shared thematic undertone between both stories. Interestingly, throughout the Dune series, the word thread is used often to describe mystical visions of timelines into the past and future that are granted by prescience. While there are nuanced distinctions between the two female orders, these parallels are much more pronounced. Both groups exhibit a profound sense of purpose and wield significant power within their respective universes. Their shared attributes, from their mysterious abilities to their deep-rooted traditions and guiding principles, underscore the undeniable similarities between them. But Filoni's penchant for borrowing doesn't stop with Dune when it comes to the three individuals represented here in the Great Mothers. Most glaringly, his portrayal of the Great Mothers in Ahsoka mirrors the Fates from Greek mythology. In Greek legends, the Fates are three sisters, Clotho, Lachesis, and Atropos, who are responsible for weaving the threads of human destiny. Filoni's Great Mothers bear virtually the same names with very minimal changes in spelling. Their narrative focus on the thread of fate makes it difficult to view them as anything but direct replicas of their Greek counterparts. Overall, this kind of borrowing, be it understated or blatant, appears to be characteristic of Dave Filoni's work. In the Ahsoka series, there is an obvious parallel between Ahsoka's character development and Gandalf's transformation in Tolkien's The Lord of the Rings. In The Lord of the Rings, Gandalf evolves from Gandalf the Grey to Gandalf the White after a significant confrontation resulting in his rebirth. Similarly, Ahsoka's transformation into Ahsoka the White is highlighted in the Disney Plus series following a similar brush with death. While Filoni has publicly acknowledged his intention to mirror this part of Tolkien's story, to many it appears more like direct mimicry than a mere tribute. While some of these familiar elements in Filoni's Star Wars are likely coincidental, many viewers perceive several of these similarities more as derivative imitation than genuine creative inspiration. And yet, even with the not-so-subtle points of imitation from other elements of famous stories, perhaps what has hindered Star Wars the most in recent years is that it has become increasingly derivative of itself, as we see story beats and character arcs repeated time and time again. While Star Wars never directly plagiarized Dune under George Lucas, the tonal stories he sought to portray were vastly different from Herbert's, and Frank Herbert himself, though inspired by the works of literary giants before him, created something that firmly stands on its own as one of the greatest works in science fiction. Drawing inspiration from other works is a treasured tradition in storytelling. However, the line between inspiration and imitation can be thin. Inspiration should serve as a catalyst for creation, not as a stencil. The essence of true creativity lies not just in borrowing elements, but in using them as building blocks to construct a fresh, original narrative. One can't help but wonder if some, if not all of Filoni's choices lean more towards replication than reinterpretation or reinvention, and underscores a missed opportunity to further enrich the Star Wars universe with unique tales. But I'm curious to know what you think regarding these borrowed elements replicated for Dave Filoni's Ahsoka series on Disney+. Would you classify these parallels as a respectful tribute or as derivative imitation? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. Leave a like if you did, and be sure to subscribe for more sci-fi and fantasy news and lore. And if you're looking for other ways to show your appreciation, you can check out my Patreon page, where members get access to exclusive perks. Thank you all so much for your support, and as always, have a very nerdy day.